Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF stock market wrap-up. And this wrap-up today is about a stock market that was really crazy for this Monday, the 27th of January, 2025. You know, we went to bed and we were worried more or less about Colombia in the United States and the tariffs that the president had put on them. And then we wake up this morning to something totally different, a word that most of us had never heard of, DeepSeek. And what it is, it's an application that you can put on a phone, and it goes into the cloud, so to speak, and you can massage data very quickly. It comes up with ideas, tells you how it came up with them, and away you go. I'm making this super simplistic because that's what they've managed to do. We, America, forced China to do this because when we started as a country putting on limits as to the chips we would give to China, clever people there, and I mean that as a compliment, clever people there said, hey, we've got these lower grade chips. What can we do to compete with America in this AI race? And what they did is they wrote an application that a hedge fund came up with that supposedly cost but $6.5 million. You realize how little that is in this AI race. It's nothing. It doesn't make a balance sheet, honestly. And what they did is they came up with this phenomenal product. It is so successful and it got so much recognition today that the site for it crashed and you can't get it. You can get it in China, you can't get it anymore here. You know, if the chips were so good, you would think you could get it at any time you want it. That's not the case. The other problem with it is it's Chinese owned. So are they going to grab parts of your email and other parts on your phone? I truly don't know, but it could be happening with that. Will it get the attention of President Trump? Absolutely. Can he stop it? Nope. But does it cause and set up a situation where in a company like Nvidia, you don't need those chips? Absolutely not. I think you're making a terrible mistake if you think so. Now, keep in the back of your mind, Nvidia is in the quiet period. They've got their earnings coming out, so you're not going to get very many statements. There's SEC rules as to what they can do. Just remember that their chips, all of them, they have different parts, are probably being used to some degree on what China's already doing. But the top end chips, if this artificial piece does that, what will a big end chip do with it? Those are the things you ask yourself. Will it speed it up 3 times that it's doing? Will it throw out that much more information? There's a lot to be asked. But what has happened is the AI spending and numbers went berserk. You know that, I know that, and the companies that are spending it know that. On the other hand, if you don't have to spend that much, today was a day of reckoning for some of the companies. So you had certain companies like Amazon. It didn't stay down. It came back up. I don't know if I have Apple here, but Apple had a pretty good day overall too. We'll get to that in a bit. Tesla down on the news. Nvidia, of course, down on the news. A mixed stock market because when you get away and you go to the Dow stocks, not many of them are involved in AI. That market's up. The other markets were down pretty hard. I have no idea why the metals fell apart with everything, but they did. They went down rather hard, came back at the end of the day, but still a down day. Why would Dell Computer be down on that news? They're going to be using chips. They'd be able to run these different AI systems. And if China can do it, in America, they'll figure out engineering for it too. Remember that. That's how this goes. You have earnings coming up in Boeing. Got to pay attention to that. That's right in front of you tomorrow morning. You held up in Rivian. Rivian has signed the deal. They did it 2 weeks ago for the money. Now they've got to prove their car. In reading what the company said today, they're still saying, hey, take away the tax credit. Makes a better playing field for us because our current cars don't qualify for them anyways. Lot to be said there. All right. So if you take a look, you can see a company like Meta explodes to the upside. Why? They didn't invest in some of those crazy prices. They're throwing billions at the market, but the market thinks their money is being spent wise. Okay, I'll finish up with Meta, then we'll get to the day's other news. You've got higher lows, higher high, the highest amount right through there. Market likes what it's seeing out of Meta. You can see how you're over the key moving averages. Now you're up to the Bollinger Band. In fact, you're over it at 659.88 by about $7. I don't think it's just going to keep running over it. I think it'll pull back in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the market, which didn't know which way to go, it's the reason it dropped so much today, when everything was falling in anything to do with AI, everything came down. By the end of the day, this market rescued itself. It is overbought. I do think pros are going to take some money off the table up here. Now, before we go to bros, and we'll talk about what happened there. Tomorrow, you're going to get the advanced durable goods numbers, and that comes out at 7:30. You're going to get Redbook Group at 7:55. Case-Shiller area home prices for November will come out at 8 o'clock. The Richmond Federal update their monthly manufacturing sector for January at 9 o'clock, and the Conference Board will come out tomorrow, and they'll release their numbers at 9 a.m. So we've got a full morning of data, but that's not where it ends. Again, Boeing is tomorrow. Remember, this is the biggest week of the year. Oh, well, let me say this different. Biggest week of the quarter. It's a new year. But biggest week of the quarter, which is for so far the year, of 80% of the S&P stocks report right now. Got Microsoft, Tesla on Wednesday, Apple on Thursday, CVX, which is Chevron and ExxonMobil on Friday, and all the other reporting companies. So you'll be buried with information through all that. Now, what happened is as the market as a whole went down today and everything went down into the red, you brought down with it Dutch Brothers. It went down. If you look at the low, 57.78, it challenged the 18-day average of closes, which is about where I expect to see support. The market's got the bias down, the trend up, and you still have locked in the data. No. You lost the bullish embedded reading, but you've gone down to where the numbers should have been. Now remember, momentum often leads price in markets. When you lose an embedded reading, which means, notice how both the red and the blue are over 80, and now one of the numbers closed under 79. Markets often then go to the closest main moving average, right under them if it was a bullish reading, which this market has done, and it tries to find a home there for a little bit. When we go to CrowdStrike, when you get up to Bollinger Bands, and I pointed this out to you last week, often that is the zone that you see resistance show up. The algorithm is designed so that only 5% of the time does the market close above or below that number. So as you approach it, it's a logical spot for the savvy traders to take something off the table. It's that simple. Support in the market, the 18-day average, but you're not trending. Now you have a higher high, lower low, and you're overbought. When you look at Rivian, you went down last week to the 200-day average and you held. You will hear me over and over and over say, a 200-day average, when you go to it, it's a test zone. You normally hit it, be it to the upside or downside, depending where it's at. And the market might come back and test it again, but it's a major number. Watch CNBC. See how many times on a big break or a big rally day, they'll talk about the 200-day moving average or the 50 or the 100. This is a big boy. It's almost a one-year average. That's why. In K-Web, well, if China's doing well with this AI, you're up. Now, why else did China do this? You know, it obviously released it today. It had this for a reason. On February 1st, President Trump has said that he wants to increase taxes. Well, they're giving him a reason maybe to hold off. And as you know, with TikTok and so on, he's done a certain amount of holding off. But I think the timing of this DeepSeek was pre-planned. They knew what they had, and they released it now for a reason. Things are never quite what they seem. Toll Brothers, boy, did you see the numbers on housing today? I talked about them in the morning update, right up through the roof. I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw in a nice way because we know we have the pent-up demand. We're back down to near 4.5 in the 10-year note. If interest rates can stay down, we have a Fed meeting coming up this Wednesday. You know, by the way, of the Fed. Do you honestly think that Fed Chair Powell is going to do anything against President Trump at this point? Doesn't have to. So what he'll say is this isn't the time to do anything, but he thinks the numbers are going the right way. If they continue, the Fed has doors open where it can still cut interest rates if the data warrants. He will stick with if the data warrants. You watch. Now you have the Bank of England. You have the European Central Bank all this week. So be ready. This is a big bank week. In XHB, well, if you're up in Toll Brothers, you're probably up here. Markets are trying to embed, get an interesting play to the upside. I mentioned to you a week ago, I said spring's coming. If people are willing to go with 7% mortgages, you're going to get the home builders being okay. That seems to be what the case is right now. In XLF, in the financials, boy, embedded reading. This is when the red and the blue are going sideways over 80. You can see the market's up and away. The market loves the fact that we're getting a drop in interest rates. The U.S. economy is strong. We're looking for GDP in the first quarter to be strong again coming up. Everything looks good. The last quarter when they'll do the reporting, I should have said it that way. But I think GDP this year looks good so far. When you take a look at XLI, the industrial sector, backing off a bit, okay, but you have an embedded reading. I think the pros are buying this pullback. So we will see. Get the red line under 79 on a close, I'll change my opinion. Until that happens, I think they're going to buy this break. When you come to XLE, well, here you had lost the bullish embedded reading. Let me walk you into this because it's so important, and I teach this in my courses. Here the market's coming down. You still have an embedded reading. Both numbers are going sideways over 80. And the moment you lose it, you want out because the odds are the market is going to, instead of going for this high, try to attack the closest moving averages right here. Bingo, this was Friday. Today. Got it. Now I think the pros go to the sidelines. They got what they wanted. GLD. If you close with the red line under 79, that's when I think the pros will come out. I think they nibbled on the long side into this market today. Silver market has not been embedded. So the gold-silver ratio has been favoring gold over silver. It's still staying that way. Copper market down, back under the 18-day average. I've had these bands super narrow, and I have said repeatedly here, until China shows us they can do something to spur on their economy, there are real problems in the metals, and that would be silver, copper, anything in the industrial metal, and that's where I think you're at. Today, on interest rates, traders were scared. They're watching things drop down. The stock market was down 1,000 points at one time in the NASDAQ. They're buying bonds. They're buying notes. They're pulling money out. The people that are in double ETFs, when they try to get more leverage, especially those in Nvidia and some of the AI stocks, and those that are on the utilities, because if you need less power to accomplish the same thing, aren't those utilities getting overpriced then? Got to think that through. Remember, we've been talking how much energy you need. I don't know what the truth is with all this. People that have used this DeepSeek say it is very, very good for what it is, exceptionally so. And I was reading the reviews today, and that's from American users of it, and I'm talking some research companies. So it apparently is a heck of a product. Doesn't mean it's revolutionary. It's able to use the lower chips. What happens with the higher chips? What happens when an American company or a European company or somebody now layers on and does all the same things? You think that doesn't happen? Get serious. It's exactly what happens. These are commodities, friends. All right. It's like the best and newest TV when you go to Walmart, you go to Costco, whatever. Go back in 6 months, the price is slashed. Just the way that it works. You're coming down here in the dollar, went to the Bollinger Band. I think the pros covered their positions there, and I think they got out today. Of the euro currency, it's not embedded up to the top number there. I think they said, so long, see you next time. So when you put it all together, you get your game plan, and I have one for you here. You know, we offer an awful lot to traders like you that want information. Information is key. Without information, you don't get very far in this business. And we write about it. You think we're not writing about all this that's happening today? The impact from the dollar, the impact of what's going to be on the interest rates. Why did the metal markets fall? Are they going to come back up? Is inflation going away suddenly? All that. We cover in our iraepstein.com free offers. So go to iraepstein.com, pretty simple. And then from there, free offers. Couldn't be any easier for you. And from the free offers, choose what you want. There's a blue part here. Select the offer at the bottom of the page. You put in your name, your email address. If you have a message for us, do it right there. And typically by the next business day, we'll have this out to you. Everything comes via your email. So I'm Ira. You have yourself a good evening. I hope I've explained this DeepSeek as best as I know how to explain it in simple terms, but that's how it breaks down. Generally, these things are simpler terms, just a better product. Remember, you can move your cursor up to the top. You'll have an icon. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.